Found out my girlfriend, who I thought left her husband for me, had been lying from day one, secretly going through my phone, gaslighting me about Instagram likes, and even sexting someone else right after we became exclusive. Now she's apologizing and wants to make it work. About a year and a half ago, I matched with this girl on Hinge under circumstances that, looking back, were strange from the start. Her profile didn't have regular pictures. It was mostly memes, and even one AI-generated photo. I remember thinking, okay, that's different, but let's see where this goes. I sent her a message and we started talking. She told me right away that she wasn't actually on Hinge looking for a partner for herself. She said she was trying to catch or expose one of her friend's partners who was supposedly cheating. That should have been my first red flag, but instead, it just intrigued me more. We kept talking, and the conversations grew longer, deeper, more frequent. After a while, she admitted she was in an open relationship. At the time, that didn't bother me. I was in a stage of life where I wasn't looking for commitment. I was single, content, and open to casual situations. I figured, fine, no strings attached, this could work. Our chats quickly turned sexual, and eventually, she showed me what she really looked like. I was floored. She was absolutely gorgeous, way beyond what I had expected, especially after the vague profile pictures. I couldn't wrap my head around why she'd be so hesitant to show herself. But then again, she was full of insecurities. She doubted everything about herself, her looks, her voice, even the way she carried herself. Still, even while we were talking so much, I started to notice patterns. She would suddenly stop replying to me in the evenings. At first, I brushed it off, but deep down, I knew exactly why. She was with her husband. She was also cagey whenever I tried to set up a plan to actually meet her. It took nearly 3 weeks of back and forth before she finally came over to see me. The first time we met in person, everything clicked. After that, we started seeing each other more regularly. And that's when things got more complicated. She confided that she wasn't happy in her marriage. She said the relationship had been open for a while, but she and her husband weren't intimate anymore, not even physically close. I told her she needed to talk to him, to really express how she was feeling, because from where I was sitting, it sounded like their arrangement wasn't working for either of them. But she kept putting it off. She always had reasons why it wasn't the right time. Meanwhile, she grew more and more anxious about me. She would get nervous at the idea that I might be seeing other people, even though every night she was going home to her husband. It felt like such a contradiction. She was married, yet she acted jealous if she thought I might be talking to another girl. Eventually, she started opening up about why she hadn't left him yet. She told me she was waiting for his grandparents to come through so that he wouldn't be left financially stranded if she decided to end things. They also had a mortgage together, and she didn't want to leave until that was sorted out. She said she didn't love him anymore, that she'd only married him in the first place because she had been too embarrassed to say no at the time, and her parents had expected her to go through with it. According to her, he hadn't done anything wrong. They were still on friendly terms, but the love was gone. I tried to be understanding. I wanted her to be happy and make her own decisions. I didn't want to pressure her, even though I felt strung along. I was honest with her that I was still dating other people because I wasn't going to just put my entire life on hold indefinitely while she stayed married. But at the same time, I kept giving her space and encouragement because she seemed so deeply unhappy and stuck. I also couldn't help noticing how deeply insecure she was. She'd put herself down constantly over things like her weight, her face, her voice, things I thought were beautiful about her. No matter how many times I told her she was gorgeous, or that I liked her just the way she was, it never seemed to sink in. The entire situation was a strange balancing act for me. On the one hand, I was enjoying being with her, enjoying the connection we had. On the other, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was just the in-between guy, the one she leaned on while she tried to figure out how to get out of a marriage she didn't want anymore. And while she told me her husband knew about everything and was supposedly okay with it, the way she dodged questions and avoided transparency left me with doubts. After a couple of months of seeing each other, things between us had gotten more serious than I originally expected. She asked me if we could be exclusive, and even though she was still living with her husband at the time, I agreed. The truth was, I wasn't interested in seeing anyone else anyway, and I knew how anxious she got at the idea of me being with other women. It wasn't a huge sacrifice for me. I cared about her, and exclusivity felt like the natural next step. A little while later, we decided to go on holiday together. I thought it was going to be the start of something new, something that really cemented us as a couple. But even on that trip, cracks started to show. At one point during the holiday, I asked her directly if her husband knew she was away with me. She said yes, that he was fine with it. That reassurance made me relax for about 48 hours. Then the truth came out. While we were away, her husband had apparently gone through her laptop and found the holiday booking. My name was right there on the confirmation, and naturally, he was upset and confused. She confessed to me that, no, she hadn't actually told him she was going on holiday with me. According to her, their open relationship was more of a don't ask, don't tell arrangement. They were both technically allowed to see other people, but the rule was that they didn't share details with each other. He had apparently been seeing other people too, but she admitted that he had no idea how deep things had gotten between her and me. That hit me hard. Up until then, I had taken everything she told me at face value. She said their marriage was done, that they weren't intimate anymore, that she didn't love him, that she was staying only for practical reasons like the mortgage and waiting for his inheritance. I believed her. So to find out she hadn't even been honest about something as simple as who she was traveling with, it stung. I told her then what I had already been saying for weeks, that if she really felt the marriage was over, she needed to stop dragging it out and just end it. Hiding behind excuses like money or the will just seemed like avoiding the inevitable. To her credit, when we got back from holiday, she finally had that breakup conversation with him. She went home, sat him down, and ended things. I was annoyed that she had lied to me about the holiday, but I tried to understand. She's extremely non-confrontational, and I figured that was part of it. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe too much benefit, honestly. I was very trusting with her throughout the whole thing, and looking back now, I realized that might have been naive. But at the time, I was in love with her. And when you're in love, it's so easy to excuse things you shouldn't. Life got complicated after that. She hated her job. It drained her, and she wanted to go back to her old workplace part-time just to escape it. Meanwhile, I was hit with a huge curveball. I got very ill. After a round of doctor's visits and tests, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. My life changed overnight. Suddenly, I couldn't work full-time anymore. I was living alone, trying to figure out how to manage financially and emotionally while adjusting to this new reality. At the same time, she needed a place to go. Housing prices in our area are brutal, and her breakup left her in a tough spot. We were already spending most of our time together, and it seemed to make sense, both financially and romantically, for her to move in with me. I thought it could be a fresh start for both of us. I also thought it would help her insecurities. She was always so worried that I would find someone better, that I would leave her the second I got the chance. I figured that if we lived together, she'd feel more secure in our relationship. When we finally moved in together, I thought things were going to settle down. For the most part, on the surface at least, they did. We had our routines, we spent a lot of time together, and aside from one big disagreement about moving away from the area, things seemed manageable. That particular argument was tough, though. I felt isolated here, and I was very open with her that I wanted to move somewhere else eventually. She didn't feel the same way, and that disagreement created tension that lingered longer than I expected. Still, I convinced myself it was just a bump in the road. What worried me more, though, was her insecurity and self-confidence, or rather, the steady decline of both. I had gone into this relationship thinking that with time, reassurance, and love, those insecurities would ease. Instead, they got worse. There was one night where she self-harmed, and I remember feeling completely powerless. She had already been in therapy before we met, and she continued going, but nothing seemed to change. It felt like I was watching her sink deeper into a hole, and no matter how much I reached out to grab her hand, she wouldn't or couldn't take it. On top of that, she's had this fixation with my social media since the very beginning, even before we were official. At first, I thought it was just curiosity. But over time, I realized it was much more than that. She told me she couldn't follow me on Instagram anymore because it made her spiral. She would literally go through all my followers and try to piece together who I might have slept with, who I might have had history with, who I might still talk to. Anytime the subject of exes or past experiences came up, she'd shut down. Even something as innocent as me mentioning that I had run into or spoken to a female friend would upset her. Then, a couple of months ago, things escalated. Out of nowhere, she confronted me and said she had noticed I'd been liking other girls' selfies online. I was caught off guard because, honestly, I barely use Instagram. I told her it must have been old friends or people I knew before moving, and that it was not a regular habit. To prove it, I checked my account. I had literally liked maybe 4 posts from women in the last year and a half. That's it. But what shook me wasn't the accusation itself. It was how she would even know that. She didn't follow me anymore. which meant, in my mind, she had either memorized my old follower list from when she did follow me, or she was checking constantly through some other way. It alarmed me. I was being as transparent as I could possibly be, and yet, it felt like she was building entire theories in her head about me being unfaithful. Meanwhile, she hid her own phone often. She'd angle the screen away, quickly swipe out of apps if I walked by, little things that I tried not to notice but did anyway. The constant suspicion started to wear on me. It reminded me too much of a past relationship where the tables had turned. The girl who accused me of everything was, in fact, the one who was cheating. That memory stuck with me, and though I tried to push it down, it made me paranoid. Then last week, something happened that I'm not proud of. She fell asleep next to me, and I gave in to the doubt. I went through her phone. I hate that I did it, but at that point, my trust was so rattled by all the accusations and secrecy that I felt like I needed clarity. What I found wasn't earth-shattering, but it was still unsettling. I discovered that while her ex was away on holiday, she had been dropping stuff off at his place for the cats they used to share. On its own, I guess that isn't a huge deal. She had always talked about how much she missed those cats, and I had told her before we moved in that we couldn't bring them to our flat because it was too small. It wasn't really the act itself that bothered me, it was the omission. She never once told me she was still going over there, still taking care of their pets. It hit me because she'd spent so much time talking about missing the cats, almost like it was this fresh wound that never healed. I had told her gently but firmly that she had to accept that this is what happens when people break up. You can't always keep everything from your past. You can't cling to every piece of it. And yet, here she was sneaking around, keeping up a connection with her ex's life through the cats. It wasn't that I didn't understand her feelings. Pets become family. I got that. But the way she hid it, the way she left me completely out of the loop, especially when I had been so open and honest with her the entire time, that's what stung. It wasn't the cats. It was the secrecy. When I first went through her phone, I thought the whole cats thing was the main secret she was keeping, that she was still dropping stuff off for her ex and just not telling me. That hurt, but I figured maybe I could move past it. Then I looked further, and the ground fell out from under me. She hadn't just been insecure and paranoid about me. She had been actively spying. On my phone, of all places. She took photos of my Instagram likes, my search history, even conversations I had on Reddit. Every single time she accused me of liking girl selfies or claimed she had just stumbled on something suspicious, it was a lie. She had gone digging, then gaslit me into thinking I was careless or hiding things. That cut deep, because I had been bending over backwards to reassure her and prove I was loyal. Then I saw the photos. New, explicit ones she'd taken of herself. Angles and styles I had never seen from her. She's never been the kind to send me nudes, so why now? My gut told me they weren't for me. And sure enough, scrolling through her messages, I saw she'd been sexting someone else. The kicker? The dates lined up right after we had agreed to be exclusive. I confronted her immediately. My chest was tight. My hands were shaking. She started apologizing, crying, saying she had made mistakes. When I asked her straight up if she had ever even been in an open relationship, like she told me at the start, she admitted she hadn't. That one admission reframed everything. From day one, she had lied to me about the foundation of our relationship. I felt like the biggest idiot in the world. What breaks me most is that she can be kind and thoughtful. That side of her is what I fell for. And if she had just been honest, if she had told me about the sexting or admitted the truth about her marriage from the beginning, I might have been able to forgive some of it. But she didn't. She hid it, manipulated me, and let me fall in love with a version of her that wasn't real. Now she's apologizing constantly, swearing she'll change, admitting she needs help. I've begged her to get serious therapy. I even told her I'd try to make it work, because part of me still loves her. But if I'm being honest, all I feel right now is numbness. It's like my heart shut down the moment the truth came out.